Okay, hello. So my name is Tomasz Rzeski, and I, with some colleagues, are responsible for the development of a system that some of you may have already encountered, and it is called Dasharo tool suite. This presentation is meant to introduce the system and provide some info about plans for the future. So let's start with the agenda. First, we will answer 3 brief questions, which are what, how, and why in the context of the Dasharo tool suite. Following that, we will provide a brief introduction to the system's 3 main functionalities that are currently available. And then we will demonstrate them during the demo. Lastly, we'll conclude the presentation with a description of the upcoming releases and some ideas for future developments. First let's talk about what the Dasharo tool suite is. And for simplicity's sake, we'll refer to it as DTS. So the DTS is a set of tools and scripts that operate in a minimal Linux environment. We could say that the goal of creating DTS was to provide a Swiss Army knife for Dasharo users and the open source firmware community, so similar to what BusyBox is just for Linux-based embedded systems. Currently, the focus is on providing verified methods for flashing firmware, as well as ways to report the details of the platform and the firmware that is on that platforms. The first version was released on August 9th, 2022, and we have since released 4 additional versions. As for now, we do not have a stable release cycle for the DTS, but we work on that. We have established basic tests for DTS, which we have conducted on several MSI boards and Nova custom laptops. However, we are considering transitioning to QEMU for testing, as approximately 90% of DTS functionality can be tested using QEMU. Also on the slides, you can see 3 links that goes to the documentation of DTS, the release pages, and the description of test cases. So now let's talk about how we created DTS. So we decided to use the Yocto project as our build system because we have significant experience in using it. Currently, DTS is compatible with the latest Yocto LTS release, which is called Kirkstone. To build it, we use an additional tool called CAS, which helps set up the environment, the build environment, and control the layers required for building. We also provide a list of steps in the documentation that must be followed to run the build locally, and I just encourage everyone to try it out and try to build DTS yourselves. The repository that stores significant build configuration and the Yocto metadata is called the meta DTS. The meta prefix is used to comply with designed Yocto guidelines. So yeah, that is it. And well, ultimately, we want to maintain 2 primary branches, which will be main and develop. However, right now, there is still some additional branches that we need to tidy, and we need to work on those branches to get everything clean. Yes, and regarding the build artifacts, each release is posted on the DTS release page, which link to that page was provided on the previous slide. Additionally, DTS can be boot using iPXE. We host 2 addresses, which are boot.freemdev.com and also boot.dasharo.com. And just our goal here is to migrate this to the latter. For those who are currently using the Dasharo firmware, you should be able to run DTS from the network using just correct boot menu, as Vessel pointed that in his presentation. But also, if you have access to the iPXE shell, you just can use proper commands to boot DTS. So yeah, now we can talk about why we create DTS. So I may be mistaken, as it was quite some time ago, but the idea for creating DTS arose from a situation described just in this short comic. So let's imagine Tom, of course, who accidentally shares my name, and who recently discovered Dasharo. He navigates to the docs.dasharo.com and just carefully follows the well-prepared documentation. Well, at least we always like to think that it is well-prepared, always. And then flash his platform and bank his platform is built from now. So probably he just made one small mistakes. So maybe some typo in one of the commands or something like that. And this may cause some significant danger to his platform, like it can be not able to boot again. So naturally, we just want to avoid such problems because there's something worse than just providing an open source solution that don't work, or even worse, just break something. So basically, this was like the first input to create DTS. So to reduce risk that that community that want to try Dasharo, just reduce that risk that someone could break his platform. And yes, this was just the beginnings, because our ultimate goal is just to provide a tool that the open source community can use to make open source firmware more accessible. Yes, so now let's discuss some of the most important features of DTS. Firstly, we have the Dasharo zero-touch initial deployment, which enables users to run DTS on a device with the vendor BIOS and just perform the Dasharo installation following the procedure that is outlined in our documentation. Naturally, the platform must be among those that support this functionality. Currently, though, this include the Dell Optiplex 7010, 9010, the MSI Pro with the DDR4 and 5 options, and also the Nova Custom laptops. Basically, we also provide here a link to the documentation which describe how the whole process goes. Next, we have also the Dasharo hardware compatibility list report, so the HCL report, which is the tool that collects information about the platform and firmware that is currently flashed on it. The report is compressed and stored in the DTS root file system, but users can also upload a copy to the Dasharo team servers to expand our knowledge base about the platforms that try to use Dasharo or are interested in using some open source firmware. The details that was collected during the report generation can be found inside that package in the file called results. And basically, both those functionalities will present in a minute during the demo. And also, naturally, the aforementioned functionalities use many tools, and we just strive to include the most up-to-date versions in each DTS release. Occasionally, we prepare patches, example for Flashloom, to add some necessary functionalities. Installing them on DTS with our additional patches allow us to test them, to check if they work as they should, and then maybe use those changes to contribute to the appropriate projects. So any changes we make in our tools, we want to contribute to upstream. So now it's time for demo. It has about 3 minutes. Let me. the dumped package. Okay, and now we just want to restore our vendor BIOS. As I said, the report is dumped into the DTS root file system. So if we have that on our USB stick, we can just use option to do the rollback, and it should automatically detect if there is any package from where the DTS can take the BIOS to flash. And okay, that was the whole demo. Thank you. Okay, thanks. So 2 more slides. First about upcoming releases. So we have planned 2 upcoming releases. The first one will be the version 1.20, which will include several bug fixes that we have that we know exists, and a new menu option for updating the Dasharo firmware. That feature has already been added to the developer build, which is now available on iPixie, so over the network. So now we are ready just to fully release that feature. The next version is marked as 2.00 because we want to focus on updating the user interface. So for users, it will probably look quite different. And that's why we want to point that by just bumping the major number version. Additionally, we also plan to add a feature that enables testing the system on an emulated target. We want to also think about the logo for DTS, maybe present a concept for like some dev builds that will be available for everyone that want to check some new features that we are working on right now. And yeah, and also like in the new feature, we also want to establish some clear release cycle just to better communicate upcoming changes to the community that uses DTS. And so roadmap. So lastly, I would like to just briefly introduce some functionalities, some plans that we have, and we want to introduce to DTS releases. So we think about some device authentication to improve the Dasharo firmware update process. So for that, we are considering providing a way to update the Dasharo firmware similar to the FW update method. We think that implementing some client authorization would increase the security of the update process itself. Next is expanding the DTS root file system via some NFS or maybe some another solution. Basically, the size of the root file system can just increase in time because we would just like to load new drivers or install some additional tools to perform some more complex operations. This can make loading DTS via iPixie a challenge due to its growing size. So to address that, we are exploring some ways to deliver additional kernel tools or modules to the system for users. Next is the DTS zero-touch initial deployment for firmware as is. So we recognize that installing some core boot, some open source firmware on various platforms can be overwhelming for users who are new to open source firmware. To assist with this, we believe that DTS could provide the appropriate tools for compiling and flashing the firmware in the state that it is right now without any requiring intervention from developers. So this may cause some new people to interest with the open source frameworks. And last, the TS security feature provisioning. We point out the estimated time for that for like next year. So we don't know when we will have time to work on that. But we think about how DTS could help in enabling so security features like Intel Boot Guard or maybe verified boot by implementing some additional options for the users to use their own keys to sign the firmware that they want to run. Okay.
Okay, we've got 5 questions to you. The first question is there a way to have it work entirely offline? So if DTS could be entirely offline.
Yes, we did not mention that, but in the documentation, we also release the images that can be flashed on the USB device. So we point out in the documentation and describe that there. So you can just take the image, flash it on your USB, and use it entirely offline without booting from iPixie.
Okay, the second question is, how do you install Dasharo from Linux?
To flash it internally, we just use the flash room, and when we use the option in DTS to provide the initial deployment, basically this is what we do. But some platforms, for example, like Optiplex, need some additional steps to be executed while we installing Dasharo. So there may be some additional tools needed to do the full deployment. And yeah, I think that is like the answer to the question. So if you want to flash Dasharo from Linux, we for sure need flash ROM, and we might need some additional tools. And that's why we generate DTS to like provide all of that to our users.
Okay, next question. Is there anything stopping DTS from including current versions of Dasharo on the image itself?
We don't thought about this solution. So like the question is if we can just take all the Dasharo releases and put there. Yes, so someone could like take the system and have already the firmware provided inside the TS. I'm not sure. We just take the option to like download the firmware after we run DTS, and then run some verification steps like check the hashes and yeah, that's it.
Fourth question. Is the firmware binary cryptographically verified before being installed?
Sorry, could you repeat that one?
Is the firmware binary cryptographically verified before being installed?
Let me see.
Do you use any type of GPG2 or something like?
Yeah, it was already.
It was
already answered.
Okay.
For now, we just only check the hashes, but the verification using GPG is something that we want to introduce in newest releases.
Okay, and we've got the last question. If DTS could use custom Dasharo images to be flashed on the device.
I mean, we provide set of tools inside DTS. So if only someone knew what he is doing, then I believe yes, he can use just the tools and take the Dasharo and just flash it by its own.